Hello, everyone. My name is Dustin Ramsey with Mars Hill Technology, and this is our Tech Talk. If you're new to our channel or new to the area, we do our Tech Talk here at Mars Hill Public Library. It's a free class for anyone in the area. We also post these on YouTube for our more rural area customers and also for the general public. On today's lesson, we're going to be doing the principle of least privilege. Some of the topics we're going to be talking about in our class today is the blast radius, what goes wrong when the admin accounts get hacked, admin versus standard accounts, zero trust, never trust, always verify, how to fix this issue today with our home and business steps, and then finally we'll do a follow-up and a little bit of information about our company in case you need some services by us. So our first one is, imagine you click a bad link in an email. If you're logged in as an administrator, that malware instantly gets administrative rights too and can do anything your account can do. It's a scary thought that some malicious software or a program can be run in the background without your knowledge, or you're be able to intervene to that program running. A lot of this stuff is scripted and it works right in the background whenever you click a link and it gets downloaded and it starts executing on your file. As an admin, you have every right to do that. You have every privilege known to man when it comes to your computer's backend. So we want to talk about how to avoid that in the future. So in this example, we have an admin account. It gets hacked. It gets complete admin right automatically. It gets every permission that you would normally get. An admin malware can encrypt every file in your connected drives. If you have an SMB file share or something of that nature, it can move east and west throughout your network, get access to a lot of these file systems that normally you would have access if you had a standard account. While on the other hand, a standard account is basically boxed in. You're in like an sandbox environment for the computer. It will corrupt maybe the files of that user, but it won't affect everyone's files on the whole entire system, which is a big issue when you have multiple users logged into the same workstation or computer. And we want to limit that. So limiting the damage before it happens. In this example, admin account gets compromised. It can go ahead and install malware or remote access tools, such as like maybe a VPN or a Tor network of some sort. It encrypts or deletes all the files on the device. You're starting to see a lot of this with ransomware in today's environment, which is a big issue. If you don't have a backup system, I would highly suggest you get a backup system with some sort of redundancy or time stamping when it allows you to go back to a previous state for your computer. So you can get access to all your file systems and everything before that issue happened. It can also disable antivirus and security software. If it has admin rights, guess what you did? If you installed that program as an admin, well, that program or that script also has the same access that you did to install that. So it can also disable it. It can create those hidden backdoor admin accounts. So that's a big issue. It can create an admin account onto your computer since it has admin rights, and that allows it to run in conjunction with all your other accounts you have on your computer. If you had a standard account, when it gets compromised, it's only limited to the files the user owns. It cannot install software system-wide, cannot modify system files or registries, and it cannot disable your security software. It's contained to that one user's profile. So we're talking about what's the difference between an admin versus a standard account? Well, administrator account, they can install or uninstall any software. They can modify Windows system settings, can access all files on all user profiles. That's a big part. Can disable security tools. And believe it or not, almost 80% of home users daily use an admin account. It's very simple to get a new computer system, and by default the computer is set up as admin rights because you need the rights to be able to make new users and to install the software. So a lot of people don't even change these things, and right here we got 80% of home Windows users do not even change it. So it's a good thing to start looking at it in a different perspective when it comes to user accounts on your computer, and try to get everyone to a standard user account. I only have one administrator account, which you only log in for special permissions, and then keep that password handy when you need it to actually install or uninstall any kind of software on your computer. You'll still be inputting your password for your administrator, but you're going to have a lot more locked doors in regards or walls when it comes to actually doing a lot of the processes on your computer. For a standard user account, They can only install improved or permitted apps, can only modify their own personal files, cannot access other people's private files, and they cannot disable security software. They're usually prompted with that, like we discussed, with an admin password before any system changes. This is a great way to see if something malicious is running or something that you didn't want to be running. If out of the blue you're browsing the internet and something pops up when it comes to a password for your administrator account, you would be like, well, what's going on? And that's a good way to block something that you might not want communicating or installing on your computer. You can think of it this way, like keys to a building. The standard user has one key to that office, while the administrator has a master key to every door, including the server room. You'd be surprised how many server rooms in businesses are not even locked up or have any kind of monitoring system too. So these are the numbers of privilege abuse. 80% of home users run as admin daily. That's just a common metric here. The people watching this video right now, you probably have an admin account that you're using to watch this video on, and you're probably thinking, why didn't I make a standard user for this when I'm just doing daily tasks and everything? I don't need admin rights nonstop on my computer. Once you get everything set up, you basically just sign in your admin account whenever you need to do a lot of configurations, or maybe set up another account on your computer of that sort. But make sure you set up a standard account. 74% breaches use stolen credentials. If they get access to your account, a threat actor gets access to your admin account, it's not hard to find everyone's user's information and be able to upload that or sell that on the dark web when it comes to these confidential credentials. So make sure that the people that do have admin access, if it's your organization, make sure that you have multiple checks involved, where maybe multiple people need to be able to configure policies or any kind of standards when admin accounts, or certain programs to be installed, not just one user, or have it very strict on who can do these system checks and everything and audits on the computer. We've got one right here. It's 10x lateral speed with admin rights. And that's mainly talking about moving east and west on your network. If you have SMB file shares connected to your computer, it's very easy for a script or some sort of program to run without your knowledge and go ahead and start encrypting or ransomwaring all the data that's on your hard drive or a connected drive. So having a standard user account, this would mitigate a lot of that damage. You would probably be prompted with an admin rights to be like, hey, do you want to run this program, or do you want to run this script, or whatever? And you can be like, no, I did not want to do that. That's a good way to mitigate that damage from extending further in your home environment and in the business, which is the most deadly. How much does it cost to do this? It costs $0 to switch to a standard account. It's as simple as creating a new account that's an admin account, saving that password in something that's encrypted or managed effectively, like maybe Bitwarden, or writing it on a piece of paper. If you're old school, just make sure that you don't have that exposed to anyone and it's not sitting on a Post-it note on your desk of any sort, because then anyone can get admin access to your computer that's walking by. So use something that's secure, a secure method to keep your admin account information. If you can, always set up multi-factor authentication as well when you're doing password. That'd be a good one. So it costs you $0 to switch from an admin account back to a standard account. You would just need to make an admin account first, log into that account, and then select your other admin account and make that a standard user. So the term we hear a lot in today's industry is zero trust. Never trust, always verify. So the old way of thinking was, hey, we're on our network, it's trusted. Well, we're getting away from that standard. You can't really trust a lot of your information, or not information, but your different devices on your network. You don't know if any of them are compromised in any event. So you kind of want to make sure that you're not using the same passwords for everything. You have different multi-factor authentication set up, different barriers in your network, and this is one of the steps in regard to that, is doing least privilege. Every request must be verified regardless of where it comes from. So if someone needs something in an office environment, they need to be able to request it if it's not of the normal daily usage. A lot of people set up different roles in companies such as accounting, HR, marketing, of these things, and you get your basic rights for those organizations. But a user shouldn't have access to everything in an organization when it comes to your business. They should only have the rights that they need to conduct their business effectively. And then if they need to elevate their privileges, they would ask an admin or a system administrator to be able to give that credentials to it. And sometimes it's only for a limited time. You can have it for a timed event, so they can only do what they need to do, and then those privileges go away again. Least privilege is the foundation of zero trust, and we're talking about that with their admin rights, but you need to practice that in regard to any of your activities with technology these days. And zero trust, it doesn't just apply to corporations or businesses, it also applies to the home network. Make sure you do separate Wi-Fi's for your guests or your IoT. If you're in a home environment, you have a great feature. It's basically like a VLAN inside of your system, and that allows you to have a guest network beyond your own default. This is a really good system because most of us in the home environment don't have that many guests coming over to get on our internet. So why don't you put stuff that you don't really trust on a daily basis, such as maybe like Internet of Things, and the Internet of Thing is like maybe your washing machine or something of that nature. You really need to question yourself and ask yourself before you add things to your internet or has internet capabilities, do you really need this feature? If you're in a multi-floor house and you wash clothes pretty often and you keep forgetting about your clothes in your washer, and it has a feature that allows notifications while it's running when the wash load gets done cleaning, this is a good feature, and that's something that might be warranted to put it on the network. But do you need to add your microwave to the network? No, you don't really need to have your microwave or your refrigerator or anything like that on the network. You got to see if it outweighs the risk involved in putting that on your network. And the Internet of Things, unfortunately, is one of the first things that gets compromised in a network. And as soon as something gets compromised, it can start moving around. So you kind of want to isolate those. And in a corporation environment, you might have VLANs. You might have complete sandboxes, like in a Docker container or something of that nature, VPS systems, all that kind of thing. But like in a home environment, this is simple as just putting in the items you can't really trust or don't want on your daily workflow when it comes to your business and your home use on a guest network. And I have right here multi-factor authentication on every account. Always choose multi-factor authentication and use a good password manager to do that, or a YubiKey if you want to be even more secure for a physical device. So this is a ransomware story. Two different outcomes with an administrator account getting hacked and ransomware affecting their computer state. So company A, admin account, ransomware encrypts local files immediately. It starts to spread all map network drives connected to those computer systems, encrypts the file servers, accounting data, backups, all the information. And when you're doing a backup, there's a lot of things. If you're using an S3 environment, which is kind of like the big parties are using is S3 environments. A lot of these have object lock, which is a really good feature where when the item goes into that bucket in that backup system, it's going to lock that file after so much of a time period, and that prevents issues like this with ransomware. It also disables the antivirus to avoid detection. In a company, you typically see this a lot with EDR systems. It might go in there and automatically turn off the endpoints for all the users in the system, which would be a very bad thing. So the behavior element when it comes to the antivirus or the EDR systems would not be able to function at that point. And unfortunately, with ransomware comes the ransom. So they have to end up paying $47,000 to get their files back from being encrypted and being able to continue their business operations. And on top of that, typically it takes 11 days. So depending on how much information you have, it might take a considerable amount of time to be able to negotiate terms, to download material if they've already uploaded the materials and everything overnight. You might have to download all the materials back or get access to your backup system to where you can revert it back before they were even on the system. So this is a huge inconvenience for a company and costs a lot of money. So not only did they pay $47,000 for that ransom, but they also got a lot of downtime for their employees and their staff. So they're having to pay all these people, and they can't do their own workload. So it's a huge detrimental loss to that company. So the other company has standard accounts. Ransomware only attacks that one person. They can isolate that in that event, go ahead and configure or back up to a certain state. It didn't hit all their information on backup servers, so that's a very big part. It didn't disable the security system for all of them. So the IT division or an IT professional could then just go ahead and re-image that one workstation versus having to do all of the computers in their whole entire system, and lose all their data that they had in a backup environment. So it doesn't take too long to do that. They would wipe the hard drive, go to the backup, and then continue on with it. Both companies had antivirus here, but both companies got hit. The only difference was the account privilege. Same attack. One paid $47,000, one didn't. So some things to think about if you're on a organization is, do you need everyone to have admin account access? And a lot of small businesses are structured this way. A lot of users on computers have admin accounts, or they haven't been audited recently. So go through and check to see who has permissions to what, and make sure they have least permissions that they need to do their job and to be secure. So how to fix this at your home? You can just go in and create a new standard user account. Go into Windows. You can go in your settings, account, family, and other users, and then add account. You can set that to standard. If you are already signed in as an admin, like I said, you would need to make an admin account in conjunction with the current admin account. Log into that new admin account, and then take your admin account from that your old user account and downgrade it to standard. Do you lose your information? No. When you do this, you do not. You're just considered a standard user now at that point instead of an admin. So you use your standard account daily. So do all that for your browsing, your email, work, and use all that for your standard. And then only do the admin account when you're installing a lot of programs or doing a lot of information regarding admin access. That's the only time you would actually log into that admin account and use it on a daily basis or an event basis. If you have to make an admin account, an admin is the only one that can do that. So that's when you would log into that admin account. Typically with your standard account, you would just type in your admin password if you're requesting to do something. So if you've downloaded your own program and you know that it's something that you want to install and it's not just popping up out of the blue, that's when you would type in your admin account information. You don't want to be just, if something pops up needing admin access, you should definitely treat it as a threat if you didn't request it, or do a lot of investigations when it comes to why am I needing to type in my admin password when I'm not requesting it. That's a huge flag. So this would prevent a lot of that issues that we saw with that blast radius. It prevents 90% of that the issues. It only affects the user. So if something gets compromised, it's only that user, not your whole admin and every user on that account. If you're on iPhone and Android, you can go into your settings and privacy and go and make sure that you're revoking settings on the common. I usually do it quarterly, but you can do it even more frequently. If your device is being used more, or if it's more sensitive, maybe you would only have it have for only one or two apps and have it to where you can't do anything on the phone. But you want to go in there and revoke. Does your camera need access to your whole entire photo library? No. You can select certain photos that it does have access to, or which apps do. Does Facebook need your camera? No. You probably can upload that from your file structure and select the only files it needs to get. This prevents a lot of issues with privacy. A lot of security issues involved in that too. So go through there and check what has privileges and just remove things that do not need it. And you'd be surprised. Everything wants to have all access, and it'll ask you, do you want to give everything full access to everything? And a lot of people just click that, and they're basically just signing over all their privacy, and any kind of sensitivity in their device is pretty much mute at that point. Make sure you set up a separate guest Wi-Fi, smart TVs, cameras, all those things. If you don't need it, if you're using your network, such as like multicast, anycast, any of the, like if you do AirPlay, a lot of those, they need to be on the same network. You can configure in the back end if you're a little bit more advanced in networking rules in the firewall to be able to do these things. But typically, if you're not doing those kind of activities, you can go ahead and move your smart TV and any of these like smart devices that are not very secure and patched very frequently or very cheaply made. You need to put these on your guest network, and that prevents a lot of issues when it comes to vulnerability in your network. Remember, we're trying to zero trust for everything. So, how to implement this stuff and your business is you want to audit every employee account. So, just check through if this is a great state to start. Go through and just check who has admin rights for various programs, files, all these things, and go ahead and revoke it. You might come across something that was an old employee that might still have access, and you might be able to see that they still have been logging in or using some of your software or licenses or something of that nature that was connected to their account. So you want to kind of audit every employee. You want to go through there. I always suggest doing this at least quarterly. You should have a really good ticketing system if you've got an IT division that go through there and they make a ticket for it and say, hey, this person's going to be removed. If it's a sensitive information like a termination, you want to make sure that you get in there immediately before the termination happens. So make sure that you communicate to like HR or your business leads to make sure that you can disable their account access before you give them that information. You want to time it perfect to where people won't get in there and maliciously try to delete things like file structures that took thousands of hours to create in your organizations. You should look into different role-based access groups. There's a ton of different policies when it comes to admin. I think it's MAC, DAC, RABC, I believe. There's JIT. There's so many different acronyms and different processes and the ways that you can set up roles in your organization. So you can research those a little bit. If you're at home, like I said, you just need admin and a standard account. You don't have to get really technical with it, but each organization has a different method of how they want to, manage their employee access and their administrators access in an organization. You want to implement a separate IT admin account. Typically, you want multiple admin authentication when it comes to more sensitive information, but you should have all those information. Even your admins should be using standard accounts when they're using it, just doing their normal workflow. And then when they need the actual IT account, they would log into that IT account. And also, never give one password for one account. You want to have some sort of redundancy and sort of breadcrumbs when it comes to malicious intent in an organization. A lot of people do vacation for this reason. This allows exposure for maybe malicious intent. So people going on vacation, you might be able to audit or something of that nature, be able to go behind or notice that someone's doing malicious stuff. If someone's working every day and you don't know the difference of it, sometimes they can hide their tracks of something malicious they've been doing. But if they're taking a time off, they might have you might have enough time to catch what they've been doing. So have everything separate, have separate accounts. That way you can have breadcrumbs and see what's going on, and you can take discipline actions based on that. Make sure you're using multi-factor authentication for everything. I've got here multi-factor authentication blocks 99% of credential-based attacks, and that's true. Having multiple factors there. If your password gets compromised, you still need some other type. Maybe you need scan your fingerprint, or maybe you need to have a pass key of some sort, or your YubiKey. This prevents a lot of that information. This another standard is just-in-time JIT. This is good for if someone needs an item just temporary. You can give them that, and then it's timed, so it'll time it out. I only need 8 hours to be able to do this task, and then that permission goes away after that. That prevents very confidential information being permanently accessible for information. I had a lot of that in the military. We had shared drives, and when you got access to it from a manager's perspective or whatever, you can go into any of that stuff, and that shouldn't be the case. When you're doing EPRs, which in the military is enlisted performance reviews, when you're doing those kind of configurations and going through there and you're checking on all this stuff, you don't need access to sensitive data when it comes to like maybe social security numbers or information that's kind of private for individuals. You just need to be able to grab a little bit of information to be able to do your EPR, and then that's it. And this is the same thing you need to do in a corporate environment. You don't need access to all this sensitive information, and not only that, it prevents a lot of these issues. If that account gets compromised, you don't have another person that can get access to very sensitive information and your normal workflow. Always look for different reviews. Make sure that you're going through Windows audits, and just make sure that you're going through and getting rid of old accounts, unused accounts, privileges that have been assigned that maybe they don't need anymore. Just always do these audits. It's always recommended to do it. I've got it right here. It's quarterly minimum, but you can always do it more frequent. You can do it monthly, but quarterly is definitely a good practice in your work environment. So 5 things to take home today. You can't stop every attack, but you can limit how much damage it does. So I always use in our class for our tech talk is I always use the acronym. You want to be the fruit at the top of the tree and not the low-hanging fruit. So that low-hanging fruit are the individuals that are going to be compromised and have a lot of issues. You want to be that hard-to-reach fruit. That means the threat actor would have to have a ladder. They'd have to get pruning shears to even get all the way to the top of that tree to get that fruit. Well, what's the easiest way for them to what's the easiest target is the fruit that they can just pick off with no problem at all on the very bottom of that tree. So you kind of want to make sure that you're trying to be the hardest fruit to get to on that tree. Most home computers are running admin accounts, and it's unnecessary. So it takes about 5 minutes to set up another account, another admin account, and demote your account, and it costs $0. It's one of the biggest return of investments when it comes to security in your infrastructure, whether it be at home or in your business environment. So just take those few steps. If you're going to do anything and you're worried about cybersecurity, take this one little step. Malware inherits your account's permissions, so make sure you're using standard accounts for daily workflow. You don't need an admin account and then have some sort of malware having admin access to all of your computer state. Zero trust, we keep harking on that. It doesn't apply just to the corporation environment anymore. We're using it at home now. Make sure that you're using guest Wi-Fi permission, maybe app permissions. You can always set what I did, which is a cheap way to manage my employees' devices, was I had everyone set up as like kid devices underneath my iCloud account. So I could manage screen time access and things of that nature for apps I couldn't get rid of, such as Apple's apps. And I would put like a minute timer on it. Or you had to have permission to do certain activities on there, and that's a great feature. Not only that, is you can actually track the whereabouts. If the item has some sort of cellular data, you can track it with find my item, and then you can track those devices if it gets connected to a network, or if it's got cellular data, you can track them if you lost them, which is really good if you're tracking in the field. It allows you to find where an employee might be at the time. Maybe you're like, hey, I've got this security issue that's close to where that employee was. Let me see if they can run by there and do that real quick. It's a really good feature to have. So if you need help with doing any of your accounts or any kind of structure when it comes to cybersecurity, we can definitely help you. So Mars Hill Technology, we typically help companies in Western North Carolina, but we're happy to do consulting, security audits for any individual in the United States. We're happy to help you there, give you some kind of plan, give you some advice when it comes to roles in your company and what works best for you. So you just have to give us a call. Our information's right here. It's marshilltechnology.com. Go to our website and check it out. And you can request any kind of audits and things of that nature. We do CIA audits, help people with a lot of like HIPAA and all the governance when it comes to that. So if you're looking at that, we can definitely help you with that, assist you with roles and securing your information, whether it be in travel or at rest. So we'd definitely be happy to help you in that way. If you don't have an EDR, we did a previous video, if you'll go back into this playlist and check it out, about EDRs and how wonderful of a tool they are for analyzing behaviors versus just old signature based scanning when it comes to antivirus or malware. So if you haven't checked that out, give that a view. It's worth the knowledge to do that. You'd be surprised how many people are just using traditional antivirus or malware, signature. I call them legacy programs in the past, and why we should be looking at EDR solutions more or less. We provide a commercial level for an MSP. We provide commercial level EDR platforms for people. But if you need help in regard to that, or you need help managing your patching and your states on all of your devices, we do that as well. So we do anything in regard to technology, and we're happy to help you and everything. So once again, I'm Dustin. This is our second video, so I'm a little nervous, and there's a couple issues. I appreciate you getting this far with us, and we try to do these about every Tuesday. I do this mainly for our users in your area, so if they weren't able to get to class, they can still keep up with their information. So if you need anything, just give me a holler, and I'll talk to you later.